Welcome back to OblivionTek's tutorials on how to play Fivem. Now that the application is installed, we're going to see that we've now got two little icons here. We've got an application folder where all the data is kept for the game, and then we've got a fivem.exe. Now, if you've got a Steam version of GTA 5, make sure that Steam is running in the background, as a couple of servers will require it. To start Fivem, click on the fivem.exe file and wait for it to load. The startup procedure is very similar to Grand Theft Auto. As we can see that it's loading up Grand Theft Auto, and now it's loading Fivem. Now we've got a couple of options down the bottom. We've got our home button, which just gives you the Twitter feed of Fivem. We've got settings, where all you can do is enter a player name, so I'm going to call myself A. Hughes. Some servers use it, but OblivionTek doesn't. Then when we go to servers, we're going to get a list of servers, and there's going to be a lot of servers, and most of them we see have got ridiculously high pings because gaming, and especially Fivem, isn't really that big in Australia. So of all the servers that we want to play on, there's one that I really like, obviously, and that's OblivionTek. And I think that's the best server that is available in Australia currently. So we can search for it by typing OBLIV, and here we can see that it comes up. And if we want to find it at a later period, we can go add favorite. Then it'll appear under favorites right there. We can also directly connect to a server if we know its IP address, and we can also see the history of servers. So let's go back to favorites and let's join OblivionTek. To join, we just click on the little plus symbol, and then it's just going to go through the procedure of joining. Sometimes it's mainly Fivem's problem, not the servers. We'll get a connection failed. All you have to do is click on it again and it'll load through the procedure again. Here we go, it's going to download content now. Now obviously each server, because it's custom, will have different files. Here it downloaded a bunch of custom vehicles, and now we'll get the load in for it. So once we load in as a starter character while the server gets us all authenticated. Now we've loaded in. When you load in for the first time, you spawn at the hospital, which is in the middle of the city. And we'll notice a couple of things. So we've got these little markers, which do all sorts of different things. We'll come back to those in a second. But for now, let's bring up the menu. So if we click the F9 key, we get a little menu that looks like this, and we've got a bunch of different actions. We can use the phone, and we can go to service, and we can call the police, repair or emergency, which is EMS, in case we need something. And if we click on EMS, we can enter a location, and then we just click tab to finish. So we'll click tab for the moment. In that same menu, we can also do a bunch of other things. We can look at emotes, such as binoculars. We can do crowd control. We can even pretend to be filming someone with our phones. The most commonly used one is if you're ever arrested by the police, use the hands up one to surrender. So we'll clear that out, and we'll go back in the menu for a second. Other than that, the most important one we've got is our inventory, which shows the items we've got on us currently, such as water and donuts. So when you spawn, you won't have any items. You'll need to go and buy them, which we'll cover in a second. But essentially the blue and little yellow lines down the bottom show your hunger and thirst. The blue one is thirst. So as you can see, because I've been playing for a while, I've got a little blue line that's half full. If we drink some water by just clicking on it and going drink, that goes down. And we'll drink again, and that'll go down again. Different foods consume different amounts of hunger, so if we have a donut, we can see that a little bit disappears. If we eat tacos, we'll see that it all goes away all at once. If we fall over and need to revive ourselves, we can either call EMS, or we can use what's called pills, and pills revive you. They also give you back a bit of your health, so if you get slightly damaged, you can just buy pills. To buy pills, you go to the hospital and you go into the little green marker here, and it gives you the option of buying pills, but they do cost money. However, don't worry too much about money. You can get a job, which we'll show you as well, but you'll also get a bit of Centrelink benefits to cover certain costs. The other markers relate to stuff to do with EMS and police, which we'll cover in further ones if you get a job. Now it plays just exactly like GTA Online. If we press the up key, we can see that there's one other person online called Hamo. You will be interacting with other players, and if you want to talk to them, you can either jump into their Discord, which there will be a link to in this video, which allows voice chat, or you can hold the N key and just talk to people that are in your close proximity, like you would in normal real life. Your other option is you can also press T and say hello to people just using text chat, like so. So obviously we are in the world of Grand Theft Auto, which means that we could stop a car that drives by and just steal it, but we're going to try to RP and play by the rules. So if we cross the road, we can see we've got a little green marker called second-hand vehicles, where we can spend a little bit of our money to buy a Panto, which is a little car, or a scooter. Let's buy a scooter for now. Once we've bought the scooter, if we go to owned, we can now take that scooter out, and this scooter is ours, so if the police pull us over for it, we're perfectly within the law. However, they may pull you over for not wearing your helmet, so always wear your helmet. Next, we're going to head on and change the look of our character. So we're going to indicate by pressing the minus key, and we're going to wait for a green light. Now you don't have to follow rules, however if you don't, you may be pulled over by a real police officer, as opposed to just an AI police officer. You can also see we've got some custom models in the game. Regular members can request models to be added into the game, and all cars can be pretty much bought. So hopefully the light will turn green soon so we can turn. There we go, green light. So we're going to turn. And then we're going to press the right key to turn again. And we can see we're going to go past a car with the car alarm going off. Very suspicious. Now on your map you can see a little green icon. If we turn and park on the footpath for a second, we can go inside. So let's park up. And just clear that menu. Let's head inside. Now we've got two markers in all these skin stores. We've got a blue marker which allows you to change your sex, but we're really interested in this green marker. So if we go over here and we use the left and right keys, we can customize the way that we look. So let's just customize our face a bit by pressing the left or right key. We'll put some glasses on ourselves. We'll go with some hair. And to change the color of the hair, you just need to press the enter key. So you find a hairstyle you like. I like that. We can change our hands and put gloves on, but we won't. Let's put a hat on. Let's not put a dunce hat on. Let's put a nice little cap on. It's a bit cold. We can also change our jacket and our shirt. Some of the models don't work the best, as you can see, but we'll go with that. We can sort of see properly. We can also change our shoes. We can even put a watch on ourselves, which you can't see because I'm wearing a long jacket. Let's change our pants as well. There we go, perfect. Once we've got our little person picked out, we leave the icon and we pay for the clothes. Now let's go and deal with the fact we're hungry and thirsty. If we jump back on our scooter, we can see we've got a bunch of markers around us. If we look for the little store one, like that, we can go and buy food and drink. So if we set a map marker, we can now go and do that. If you become too hungry or thirsty, you will die. So we don't recommend that. Try to avoid dying. In the bottom left hand corner we can also see that we've got the registration number of the vehicle that we're on. Because this is my vehicle, we can see that it's got a registration number starting with P. When you interact with other players, you won't see any lettering above their names or above their heads because it's been disabled. We're trying to RP here properly, which means that just like in real life, there's no little marker above you to tell which is a player and which isn't a player. We're going to turn right illegally. And we're going to stop at the liquor store and park up our bike as well. We'll go to the store at the front and we'll grab a couple of bottles of water. So if we select water, we'll go, we want 5 bottles of water, and we click tab to buy it. We can see that we've received water. Let's also buy some tacos. Let's buy 5 tacos. Click tab again and just close out of that menu. Now if we go back into that menu like we had before, we can see that we now have tacos and water. So let's eat a taco and see our hunger go down and drink some water. There we go. Lovely. Now you do get Centrelink benefits if you don't have a job. However, if you want to make real money, there's a couple of different jobs you can do. So if we scroll on the map, we can see a big A sign for apple farming. So if we put a marker there, we can go to that then. So I'm going to drive all the way, the whole 2 miles, and I'll see you there. So once we arrive at apples, we can see that if we click down the bottom, we're going to start harvesting apples. We can now stand here and collect as many apples as we want, but be aware that if you remain away from keyboard or AFK for too long, you will be kicked from the server. So we won't take too many apples. Obviously the amount of apples that we can carry depends on our inventory. So we can see that we currently have 42 kilograms of 60 kilograms used, and apples weigh roughly 0.2 kilograms. So we'll have a fair amount of apples to sell. So we'll stand around and wait for some apples to be picked. Once we have our apples, we then need to go and sell our apples. So if we scroll down the list through all the different options, we've got one that says sell apples. If we then put a marker on our list, we can then go and sell our apples. So coming up, here's the apple place. So if we pull up out front and we click sell apples, begin to sell apples. And we'll earn money by doing that. So as well as selling apples, if we look on the map, we can also mine gold. We can also harvest peaches, or if we swim out or find a boat, you can even go and steal cocaine and sell it. All the way at the top of the map. There's also a bunch of garages dotted around that show you where you can buy certain vehicles, such as supercars, all the way at the top of the map. Now that we've sold apples, let's move on to the final bit of RP, which is we notice that we've got a little yellow bar just below our number plate, which indicates the fuel for our vehicle, and if that gets too low, our vehicle will stop. So if we stop at one of those little petrol can looking places, we'll get a little icon, and if we press the left stick or the E key, we'll turn off our engine, and then it's just pressing space to refuel your vehicle, which doesn't cost any money. and then E to start the engine again. And that's the basics of role-playing on the OblivionTek server. Thanks for watching.